Okay, so for today's episode, I pretty much did the exact opposite of you, Andy. I chose someone at the very beginning of their category creation journey, but someone who I'm watching the launch play out in real time, and I'm respecting a lot of how they're handling it. So we don't know yet if they'll be successful at this, but it's interesting to watch. So I've been a big fan of Intercom for a while now. So we're going to go back to the B2B software space. And they just launched a new category called AI First Customer Service. I love how they approach launches in general, and this launch is definitely not disappointing. So when I was thinking about the episode, my criteria for a good category launch is the category narrative clear and easy to understand? Can the company actually deliver on the promise of the category? And are customers compelled to make a change? And I really do think that what Intercom is doing checks off all three buckets. So I'm going to walk through how I'm interpreting their go-to-market right now. So first, they started by seeding the market. If we go back to the Intercom website a year ago, I checked online, their homepage described them as essentially the automated customer service platform. In hindsight, though, you can see how they were positioning themselves then were steps along the way to where they wanted to get to today. And a lot of important things happened in 2023 to seed this narrative. The first was that they launched a new report called The State of AI in Customer Service. And they had a lot of interesting stats that came out of this that kind of made customers pay attention. So they said 69% plan to invest more in AI in the year ahead, and 72% believe that AI will actually give companies a competitive advantage. So if you're reading this as a customer, you're starting to feel maybe a bit anxious if you're not thinking about your AI strategy. And around the same time, they launched their first AI product, which was called Fin. And actually, we talk about Fin in our course, Ready for Launch. But they launched Fin, which is an AI chatbot. And since they launched it last March, they've already added over 20 new features and capabilities just to this product alone. So they're heavily investing in this new product. But what I love is that it gave them essentially a 1-year runway to build trust with the AI in their product. They didn't come out of the door with a strong AI narrative. They actually positioned Fin and the AI chatbot as a way to drive automation rather than AI being the leading value prop itself. So they're building a little bit of trust with this language and with the product. And so when they launched their new category, which happened last month, April 2024, it felt like a natural next step rather than this overnight radical change. So let's talk about the launch itself. They launched it April 2024, and they used a ton of different channels and techniques to actually launch the category. There was a blog post, which was really more of a manifesto. I think a lot of category launches have a manifesto, which really digs into why this matters, why we believe something different is happening in the world. They had a launch video, which was actually 5 minutes long, very long from a launch video perspective. But again, it was really narrative driven, and it went into the why behind all of this. They completely overhauled their website, which was a massive task. And two things that stood out to me about the website. First, they included an open letter from the CEO right on the homepage, which is really cool. Again, it's almost like a taste of that manifesto right there. They're calling out so clearly that they're doing something different, that they actually put good real estate on their homepage for this. And I'm not sure if either of you checked out the site, but the aesthetic of the site is stunning. It does not look like B2B software at all. It actually does look like AI generated imagery, or very futuristic, I should say. And I read a Facebook post or a LinkedIn post. Sorry, we're talking about Facebook, a LinkedIn post from the design team. And they're saying they didn't use any AI to design it. It actually was done by a designer, but they really wanted that aesthetic. So it's very cool. You feel like you're investing in the future, I should say, when you're on that site. They also launched a monthly product broadcast series called Built for You, where every month they're going to be taking you on a journey into this new category and what it means and how they're building. So they're really standing behind the product value here. And this launch in April actually coincided with a product launch as well. So not just the launch of a new category, but they're rooting it back in product. And we're going to get to that after. One thing I love about their narrative is that they call it an era and a system. So it's not just a category, right? It's a little bit more approachable. And they make a really compelling argument about why this is the next decade. This isn't just a fast trend that's going to go away tomorrow. So they use language like, we're only 18 months into a 10 plus year cycle. This is real. This is happening now. based on our data, we can confidently predict that in the very near future, almost all customer service questions in all customer channels will be excellently answered by AI. They use language that drives urgency and it makes it feel important without it feeling scary, which is key. And they do a great job of describing like what the heck is AI first customer service. They didn't use intelligence, so that's a plus. But I think a lot of people struggle to actually define what they mean by their category. And they had a very succinct description that they included everywhere, which is at the highest level, AI first customer service involves first seeing if AI can resolve the problem. And if not, then seeing if AI can help the agent resolve the problem. And they actually break the category down into three parts. So there's three parts to the system. There's an AI agent component, an AI co-pilot component, and an AI analyst component. And that's how they frame the whole category overall. And so it's really interesting because they're basically creating this world that they can start to slot products into. So let's talk about the products themselves. So they anchor it in real results that they're already seeing. Because they've been testing the product or at least components of the product for the year, they have data. So there's an amazing chart that they included in their blog post that shows the improvement in effectiveness of their own AI products within this category. And so they're super transparent to say 12 months ago, this was just okay. It had an average resolution rate of 28%. But now we're seeing 46% and it's growing faster and faster. So the message is really get on board now before it's too late. They launched a beta for the second pillar. So they already have Fin, which is that first pillar. They launched a beta for the second pillar of the category. It's called AI Copilot. And they've already had some customers who are seeing results, up to 31% improvement in efficiencies. And their whole Built for You product broadcast actually highlighted this product launch. It was marketed as a product launch. And then at the end of the product launch, they launched the category as well. I have one more thing to say before I run out of time. So I think they then teased the third pillar, which is coming soon. So they're building excitement for it. But the one thing I think they've done so well, we talked about this, is most categories at the beginning feel fluffy. They're conceptual, they promise a future value rather than something immediate. And I think Intercom has done a very smart move here where they are painting the vision for the new world and acknowledging that they're far away, but they're also delivering immediate access to that world today. So you can almost go on the adventure with them as they go towards that new world. So that's my interpretation of the Intercom launch. What about you guys? Have you guys been following it at all?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Actually, so did they actually, you said they launched the product, then they launched the category. Have they actually called it like a category and said this is like a new category?
Yeah. So if you go in, I can send you a few things after, but they have the product launch event itself is super interesting to watch. And then they've created, so they play with a few words. They have used the term category, but they're not splashing it everywhere. They're calling it identity, which is a category, they're calling it a new system. It's bigger than just them though. And so,
it's interesting because it's like one of those things where if you kind of and I guess the reason I like it is because if they don't call it a category, because I feel like they could get caught up in creation of this new category called AI customer service, whereas they could also just say that this is the evolution of customer service platforms. Like everything is going to go to where it's AI. We are the first ones to this is the new customer service. If you're not moving in the direction of AI first, you're going to be left behind. And because it's you can almost take the same AI first approach and apply it to so many things. And so this is where I think the idea of category creation, people can get caught up so much in the idea of is it a new category? Is it not? When what I think they do a really good job of is they're just explaining how this new way of doing customer service, what it is, what it's going to look like. And I really like how they make it very clear, what's included in an AI first sort of approach to customer service. And so it's, to anyone watching this who's like, oh, we're thinking of this and are we creating a category? I don't think it really matters. And I think that's why they can call it a new identity. They can call it a new category. What will happen, the way they create a new category is down the road, is there an AI first customer service category? And is there just a customer service platform category? And and that'll more just kind of their customers will pull them into that direction, or do they just end up redefining what customer service actually is?
And I think what's cool is I would actually say they're probably creating a subcategory. right? Because they're not saying we don't need customer service platforms anymore. They're saying there's a new type. And I do feel like it's more than just adding some functionality. And if you go into all of the narrative that they're building, it is very much the category playbook where like they're creating the terms of the category to best suit them, right? So they've created a system with the 3 pillars. They've basically created a shopping list for buyers that none of their competitors can stand up against, at least not now. But I do agree, Jason. I think time will tell if, on the grid, do we have 2 categories,
Yeah. And even, grids and like Gartner and all those things. Like, I think that is another thing where it's, at the end of the day, if they point out and define what AI first customer service looks like, and everyone starts to use that, and everyone starts to think that like that's how it needs to be done, I don't think it matters if they created a category or not, because everyone's going to be like, naturally, if they want to go AI first, they're going to go with Intercom.
That's one of those things where I feel like if I hear more about just the fact that somebody is creating a category, that tells me that it's probably just not going to work out for them, because they're just more swept up in just like, we're creating a category. Yeah. And it's like almost like you're just kind of like I don't want to be too mean, but kind of like posing a little bit. Whereas like you don't need to say that. Like most people can figure out, at least most marketers can at this point, like with like the manifesto, with like new pricing models, like these are all like little like keys that lead to, a broader like category creation or like subcategory that you're trying to create. And so I think that that's just the most important part. If you're preaching that you're creating a category, that's more for you versus like the audience that you're trying to support. And I think Intercom is doing a great job of sharing how it's going to revolutionize the way that their like target audience is going to approach customer support. And so, I've been loving watching all of their updates. It's been super cool.
Well, and Andy, I actually saw that you liked something on LinkedIn from the CEO of Intercom, but I'd already chosen them and made my notes for this. And I saw their post where he basically this week, like this is happening in real time, right? So this week he emails all of the employees and is basically like, we're already bullish about this, but we're getting even more bullish. We considered raising another round of funding. We've actually decided to just take capital from within the business. And I don't know if Andy you remember, but I think it was something like dozens of millions of dollars.
It was like 100 million.
Okay, this year to bring this to life even faster than they had imagined. And they specify exactly what that means, what teams are growing, where they're investing. They're throwing marketing dollars at this, which I also think is a signal that this is a category. Anyways, it's a fascinating email. If you haven't read it yet, Jason, highly recommend.
Yeah, that's cool.